Hello everyone, and welcome to another tutorial in my How to Draw Iconic Movie Characters series. Before we start, of course, if you could subscribe, that would be very much appreciated, thank you. And also, ring that little bell icon if you want to know what's coming up next. Okay, well, the iconic movie character today is that amazing character Woody from the lovely Toy Story movies. Okay, so I'm going to start with his hat, his Stetson, and it comes up and a curve like that, and then falls away again to the other side. And then we have the two uprights on the edges of his hat there. It's kind of centre of his hat's there. And of course his brim appears coming up like that, but quite a sharp angle. Like that, coming up to almost a point there and then curving back down and a curve towards his head. And this curve here, a bit more gentle, comes up like that. Now the edge of the brim of his hat has a certain thickness, so we draw another line like that, and then Woody actually has a kind of bit of what it looks like kind of twine, a cord going around over the top like that. So you can do it like S shapes, you know, those S shapes coming down like that, right along the brim. Some stick up a bit more than others, like that, you know, coming back down the other side. Okay, and as it comes to the edge, they get, as it's curving away from you, they get a bit flatter. So you get that kind of shape there. And this one here kind of curves around that way. Okay, now the top of his hat, the brim here, where it touches the forehead, is a curve, like that. And the side of his head comes down from there and from here. Now what I'll do now is I'll draw his eyebrows in pretty near the top of the hat there. So what you get is one eyebrow which is a bit higher than the other one, which comes in a bit there. That kind of shape. Another one a bit lower, starts about here and curves around and touches the side of his face there, like that. And below that one, the eye is pretty near, and it's a kind of long oval shape, which comes up like that. Nice and round, nice big eyes. Another one fairly near, directly opposite, coming in about there. Again, make them almost circular, but not quite. In the centre of this eye, you have not a circular, but a slightly oval shaped pupil. Same with this one, slightly oval shaped, but still quite large. You know, you get the centred black iris there, and central black iris there, with a big white highlight there, which I'll just draw in for the moment, okay? The nose will come on a curve from this eyebrow, curving past his eye, and curving out, you know, like a ski jump, like that. Okay, coming underneath. And side of his face now, you get a wee bit of his hair showing just there. Also, by the way, just under the brim of the hat. Okay, and curves in slightly towards the eye, then out to his cheekbone, and then down and then out around his jaw slightly, and then down to a fairly square chin, coming up like that to his ear, which starts just opposite his nose here, comes up and fills in about this space here. But at the top of that ear, you can imagine coming across about there. So there's the ear shape coming in like that. Okay, his hair appears like that, comes out slightly and then down past his ear and a kind of sideburn there. And there's a couple of highlights, one there and one there. Okay, there's a bit of a shadow under his nose there. I'll just indicate that just now. Now, his mouth, nice big grin, comes up like that, at an angle as well. Curves down, and up sharply. And you get the thickness of his lip there, very, very thin actually. And then you get a little crinkle at the side of his mouth. And just above that, you get this curve of his cheek coming around like that. Okay? His mouth open and nice grin. So you've got these lines coming down the inside of his mouth quite sharply, and then curving across to meet those lines, and you get the bottom of his lip coming in there. And then the top teeth begin from the corner slightly, and they curve. And then the bottom teeth come in about there, and you have a bit of a shadow coming around the bottom of his chin there. Okay, his neck appears about there, and below that, of course, you have his neckerchief, which kind of a big couple of kind of extra bits sticking out there, and down to his shirt collar, which appears there, open shirt, and the other one curved over like that, down to his shoulder, which appears about there, okay? And just below that join there of his shirt, you have a big kind of silver button appearing, like that. I'll draw that in a bit more carefully in a minute. Now, he's got a waistcoat on, which appears like that, and he's got a thickness on the other side, like that, a double thickness. And that, because it's kind of braided, you get these black stripes all the way down. Same with that side here. And the actual, there's his sleeve coming in with a kind of check pattern on it. The actual waistcoat itself is obviously made of cowhide because it's got these kind of black and white patterns on it. There's one there, and one coming up about there. The other side, the waistcoat comes in from underneath his collar here and comes down like that with the stripes on it. And then, you know, he has a star, a sheriff's badge, which is a 5-pointed star, and little bits like that on the top. Okay, and the edging of his waistcoat comes past the star like that, and the other edging comes in over his shoulder like that. And of course, on this side, there's another bit of the cowhide pattern. You get a kind of black shape coming in like that, and another one appearing just below there, and his other sleeve like that, coming in there with the check pattern on it. Okay, there's some check pattern on his shirt as well. I'll just indicate just now, like that. Okay, what I want to do now is I'm going to get a fine pen and I'm going to outline these pencil lines because I'm going to colour it with coloured pencils. And if you leave your pencil lines, you'll tend to find that as you shade in, you tend to drag some of that pencil line into your colour, which you don't want. Okay, as you can see, I've actually rubbed down some of those pencil lines already, and I'm just going to start outlining them with this fine pen. It's a 0.8. So I'm just going over my pencil lines to create a nice fine line drawing of what I've done so far. Okay, just carefully following my pencil line like that all the way along, and that's what I'll do right to the end, and I'll catch up with you when I've done that. Right, I'm just finishing outlining with a pen now. His sleeve. Okay, and what I'll do now is I'll get a selection of coloured pencils and we'll start to fill in our drawing. Okay, you can see Woody peering over the tops of the pencils that I'm going to use here. Colour range from the pale to the darker, and pale pink for the face and so on, yellow for his shirt, through to these ochres and browns for the hat and the eyebrows and so on. Okay, so let's get started. Right, well, I've chosen these 4 colours for the hat. Basically, it's this colour here, a slightly orangey brown colour, but of course, because of the shadows, you'll get different colours coming in. So I'm going to start off with that colour on the light side of the hat. I want to imagine the light coming down this way, from the top, but more to the right, okay? So this part of the hat here would be coloured in with the basic slightly reddish brown colour up to the centre. The hat curves away that way, so you put a slight line there and bring your colour up to that line. I'm using the colour pencil in a kind of circular motion like that. Now, of course, if you want it darker, you can put more pressure on it. So, for instance, if I come around here, then you can see the difference between the same colour, but because I'm putting more pressure, you can see how much darker that becomes. Okay, and I'm going to do exactly the same underneath the hat here, the brim. But before I do that, I want to show you how you can layer your colours. So there's a basic kind of undercolour, and then I'm going to use this orange to bring up this side here a bit more. See how that adds to your brown and gives a much warmer colour over the top of that. Okay, and then the darker one, this kind of beach colour, over the top of that. So you darken this side down quite a lot. You see, that makes a big difference there. And because you've drawn a nice thin pen line, you get a nice crisp edge to your drawing. Okay, so that side's coming along nice and dark now. I can add a little bit of dark on this side. Perhaps as the hat curves around, put a bit of darkness there, and then take the weight off and blend it into the rest of the hat coming along here. Okay, I would also maybe put a little bit of this colour here as the hat curves around, so you get a different bit of shading there. See how that curves around, you get a wee bit of light catching that. In fact, what you could do is take a bit of white and just bring out the edge of the curve there, like that. Okay, so I'm going to do much the same under here, although it's all going to be mainly dark. As you can see, I'm starting with the dark brown, the kind of copper beach colour, and bring it in on the underside of the brim here. I'll make it quite dark on the bottom part here, but as I come up to the top, I'll take the weight off, and then I'll start to overlay it with other colours. As I take the weight off, it becomes slightly lighter like that. Okay, as you can see, I've nearly finished putting the base colour now. And what I'm going to do next is to take the slightly reddish brown, the one that I used in there, and then go over that so that we try to match up that colour slightly and suggest that it's in shadow. Okay, so I'll go over the top of that to bring that out. And what I also do is the brim here, the edge of the brim is catching the light. So what I would do is put a nice sharp line of the reddish brown on the top and then another one underneath, but leave a kind of light part in the centre so you get a kind of highlight. Okay, I would do the same with these bits of braiding that go around the hat like that. I might use a darker colour than that, but I'll carry on doing that. Right, well, I've done that. I'm going to move to a darker colour now. This is actually a dark kind of purple colour, but that'll blend okay in with the brown, give an interesting dark tone. You don't have to use black, although I will use black later, but it's not necessary to use it all the time. Sometimes you get more interesting shadows if you use darker colours rather than black. So bring that around to here. Maybe even a bit in here as well. I think I'll go back at the end and use black, but at the moment I'm just using this dark purple colour. But it picks out the dark lines quite nicely. Right, well, I'm using this pale pink colour for the flesh tone. And basically I'm going to colour in all of the face with that. Some bits will be highlighted, of course, but I can use shading on the face to suggest the highlights. So basically just use your pale pink to cover all of those lines like that. Okay, I'm moving away from this pink now to a paler pink, a pink madder, which is almost a slightly orangey pink, but it gives, if you put a bit of weight on it, it can actually appear darker than this. And you would find that the pink around his cheeks would be like that, would be that kind of colour, okay? I'll actually get a bit of red shortly and do that, but you can see how it picks up the red of the cheeks, and maybe down the front of the nose there, a wee bit underneath his nose, and around here. Okay, also his lips, that colour, not too heavy, like that, and perhaps a little bit of the rose pink around his ears, and maybe down this side of the chin as well. Right, I've used the pink madder on his cheeks, around the top of the eyes, around the chin here, a little bit in the neck, and now I'm going to go in with the red just to pick up the cheeks like this, a highlight just a bit here. So very gently put in a bit of red there to pick out the red of his cheeks. Just like that, and also this side too. When you're doing it, you can feel the waxiness underneath of the other colours, and your pencil kind of glides over the top. Okay? Right, what does that to put in some of the shadows now? And I'm going to use the dark brown for that. And because the light's coming from this way, you'll find there's a shadow in here on this side of the nose. Fairly deep coming up to the eyebrow there. And then around the side of the nose here coming down, so you'll get a bit of shading coming in there. And then down underneath the nose itself, a bit of shadow there. And there's a line just going across here that picks out, the actual nose comes in, and that's the shape of it there. But underneath here you want a bit of reflected light. So if you put a bit of shading in there coming up to the tip of the nose and then leave this bit light, you get a bit of reflected light coming in there. Like that. And then a bit of shading under his cheek. Maybe an indentation when he smiles like that. And then down the wee crinkles at the side of his mouth. Also, you've got a nice bit of shading under his bottom lip. And picks that lip out, see that? And also around the chin. Leave a bit of light from that line there to there, because you're getting reflected light coming up from underneath. And that shading would come up the side of his face. And again, use your light strokes to suggest shading on the side of his face here. And a bit under his chin, his cheek rather. And a bit more underneath his eyebrow there. And of course the brim of the hat will actually create a shadow on his forehead, which will come in at an angle coming in like that. So just shade over the colours you've already done there. I'll pick out that here in a minute with black. Okay, so there's the shadow of the hat, see that? And also in the ears, and shadow in there, coming down there, and also in the ear hole here, bit there, and also under his chin. Fairly dark, and then a little bit of shading like that down towards his neckerchief. Okay, also the line under his nose will continue on to the top lip. So we get that kind of shading there. Okay, see the face beginning to form then. Also, on the bottom of the eye, that shading there. Also the top of this eye, suggesting the eye socket there, like that. And a little bit round Just a little touch on the bottom there. Okay, so let's move on to the colours for his eyebrows, eyes and mouth. Okay, well the eyebrows are the dark brown, so I'll just fill those in. Again, put quite a bit of weight on, get them nice and dark. Pick those out, like that, okay. And the hair is quite dark. It appears black here and here, and black under there. But it's a kind of reddish brown colour. So I'm going to put in a base of this dark brown and take the weight off as I go up here, leave these two highlights just now. Like that. Okay. And then take this red colour and go into the hair again, make it more reddish brown, as if it's catching the light. Like that. Okay. And then move to the more kind of reddish brown, and golden brown almost, and put that in there. The golden brown, by the way, also you can put into the outside of the iris here, like that. Okay. That's yellow brown colour in there. And I think now we can move on to the black. And we'll touch on his hair under the broom there. And also a little bit of hair appearing there. And a bit of black on the hair here. You could even, if you're careful, just bring your black across like that to deepen that shadow there. And also, as I was saying earlier, you can now start to bring a bit of black into your dark shadows up here. Just let your pencil glide over and build up your dark tone. Like that, you see? And move it there too. It's all built up in layers. See how it's starting to look much more three-dimensional now. Okay? And a bit of black around here. Maybe a little bit of black in there too. Why not? And the actual irises themselves. Nice big black oval shapes there. Put a lot of weight in your pencil. And then if you look at closely at Woody's face, you'll notice that there are also little kind of almost little triangular shapes all the way around the outside of his eye, like that. Put those in. I'll tidy those up later. Okay. And go down the outside edge a bit more. And that. And also, because the eye, of course, is curved, you can put a bit of shading underneath the eye with your black pencil, just a touch. You get the sense of it being an eyeball. Like that, okay? Another one coming in there. And shading going up, not to the edge, but leaving a bit of highlight there. Okay? Now we can now move on to the mouth, which again basically just shaded in black in between the lips and the teeth. Okay, moving down to the costume now. First of all, the neckerchief. Now, the neckerchief has got spots on it, so you draw a few circular lines like that. Exaggerate the size, by the way, then make nice and big, like that. And then basically just shade in between, like that. Okay, just finishing off the neckerchief here. We can take a bit of the dark brown actually and put a bit of shading under here. There's a bit of a fold there. A bit of shading in there like that, okay? And maybe a bit of shading in here where the ends of the neckerchief kind of stick out. And a bit in there. Okay, now move down to the shirt now, which is yellow. So basically, it's got your yellow and fill in the shirt shapes. Nothing very dramatic about that. We'll just fill them in like that. And then you can take maybe this kind of ochre colour and put a bit of shading in underneath the collar there, and in here too, and also down the side of his arm. Oops, run over the white a bit there, so let's take that out, like that. I'm a bit more careful this time. Okay, and yeah, where that fold comes there, you put a bit of shading in there and a bit down there. Of course, I forgot to do that sleeve in, so I'll just do that right now. Okay, what we're going to do now is take the reddish brown colour, the golden brown, and put in the kind of check shapes, which will appear on his collar, like that. Just heavy lines. That's all you need to do for that. Going across, going down the middle, doing across there and across there. Okay, the badge actually could also start with this as well. Reddish brown, not too heavy, on the side of these wee circles here. And as you come towards the other side, take the weight off, and then we'll get the pale ochre colour and put that in there. And I think what we'll also do is get the yellow and go over that and brighten this side up, make it slightly gold, like that. Okay, I've written the word sheriff in there. But if you get a very, very fine pen, you can actually double those letters up. Okay, so let's move on now to the black surrounding the edging of his waistcoat. So all you do is just, as I've drawn them double lines, and basically just fill those in, like that, all the way around. And as well as the edging, of course, you fill in these black cowhide shapes on his waistcoat, like that. Carefully draw up the edge, and then fill in your shape, like that. Okay, now let's have a look and see what we can do now to just finish it off. Yep, there's a little bit of shading under here, and the kind of silver button. You get this kind of reflective shapes going across there, like that. Okay, and I think what you could also do is just to finalize it all, you could get your pen and just pick out some of your little lines that have maybe got lost, which you want to accentuate, you know. And once you've done your bit of outline, you can have a look to see if there's anything you've missed. And I have actually missed something. I noticed that I missed out a little bit of the hair coming below the ear here. So I drew it in, and I'll just fill it in with the dark brown. Also, these highlights, I would maybe put in as orange highlights, like that. Okay. Well, I think that's it fine now. I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope you can join me again for another tutorial. But in the meantime, of course, all the best and happy drawing!